Are you going places or left behind because you don't have a travel companion? Listen to how you can travel more independently. Dr. Travelbest will bring you the best answers, tips, and hear mistakes so you can benefit.
Welcome to Dr. Mary Travelbest's Independent Travel Guide. This is for women who are seeking new adventures through travel. Maybe at a new life stage, you might need self-confidence to get going. Have you written or updated your travel bucket list? I'll help you get there. I'll respond to your travel questions as well as show you my mistakes and missteps in travel. I wrote and published the best-selling World's First Guide to Independent Travel. And since 1993, I've been preparing to guide you with your next travel experiences. The second edition of the guide will be available in several months, so stay tuned for news about that. Our show notes are all available at Dr. Mary Travelbest at blogspot.com. In this episode, the FAQ is about the struggle between travel and that most of the people in the world are restricted from travel. The destination is Kenya. My mistake is surfboards hurt. And my travel tips are to stay away from dangerous situations. So the FAQ, do any of you, like I do, struggle a bit about traveling and seeing that most people in the world cannot do so? The answer is that most people will never be able to travel like you and I. That's because of the freedoms that we have in the US. These are things that we often take for granted. So my goal is to point out this inequality and try to educate those of us who are able to make the sacrifice to travel and to bring significant change and understanding to those who aren't able to make that experience happen. It's largely due to economics and lifestyles that the modern travel ecosystem exists today. So it could change in the future. Should you struggle or accept this fact? That's all up to you. I just want to encourage you if you are ready to make the next steps. Today's independent destination is Kenya. Yes, East Africa is still a place you can get away from it all if that's your goal. You fly into Nairobi, Kenya, and then explore the former British colony for a big change of lifestyle. Your trip may be very different than mine, but here are some of the things you may encounter. Now, Nairobi, as I mentioned, is the capital city of Kenya. That was my destination. I arrived without even a hotel reservation. I knew nobody in the area. I was grateful to have met some new friends on my journey who helped me to learn the do's and don'ts of the region. They gave me some help and a place to store my things while I was on safari. You can explore the Nairobi National Park. It's located only about 10 kilometers from the downtown area. And I did that the first day in Kenya. Later, I explored more remote regions on my own. So I went to the Masai Mara Game Reserve. It's got the very best variety of wildlife, maybe best in the world. And it's packed in a small area. So travel is best in the fall when game spotting is at its peak. You can take a sunrise balloon ride and end with a champagne breakfast in the reserve. Now, my travel to Masai Mara was very different. It included an airplane built in the 1940s. It landed after circling a cement area where the zebras were running around on the cement. So the plane had to circle around a few times before it could land on the cement. That was supposedly the runway. And there were no towers. There were no people at that airport. So finally, I got to the Masai Mara, and I slept alone in a tent with a wire fence around it. And there was a person that had a baseball bat, and his job was to keep the monkeys away from my tent. That really was their job. The elephants were known to brush up against the fence. I was served tea in the tent, which even had a flush toilet. It was the fanciest tent I could have imagined. For 2 days, I rode in a Jeep with two couples who were on safari, and we saw all the major 5 animals. The big 5, those are lions, elephants, buffalo, leopard, and rhino. People will ask you about, what are the big 5? Well, now you can tell them. I spent nearly a month exploring this country, plus going to the Seychelles, which I address on the later podcast. It was one of the more defining trips in my life because I was so totally away from any comfort zone, and I did not speak to anyone from my home country during the trip. Being so isolated was a lesson in surviving. Consider some volunteer programs like African Impact, which are lion rehabilitation programs on game farms. Now, I did take a train from Nairobi to Mombasa. That was quite an adventure, and I want to encourage you to look at that. Mine was a 15-hour overnight trip, but now they've got fast trains that do it in less than 5 hours. I wish that you had this experience to see the rural and coastal low country, as well as the plateaus of Nairobi. Now, Louis Leakey's legacy is a good history lesson, so you may also want to read up on elephants, which you will find in Kenya, and I really liked a lot. Today's mistake. Today's mistake is surfboards can be dangerous, especially to beginners like me. I thought that because I could swim, I could surf. Well, that was not the case. Surfing takes balance, and I have a limited amount of this. I got hurt by the surfboard and found out that black and blue were the colors of the day. So if you want to learn how to surf, get a lesson in balance and a very long board before you begin. 10 feet is what I recommend. So here's today's travel advice. Stay safe, especially when you're traveling independently. Protect your valuables while you enjoy your trip. There's nothing like being relaxed and then finding out that you've been robbed. So don't let your guard down and be the victim of theft. Wear a hidden money belt. Keep your passport in a very protected place. Don't flash cash or credit cards. Don't wear expensive jewelry. Thieves are looking for these vulnerable people. When walking in a dangerous or dark place, walk with others. Keep your eyes open, but don't draw attention to your fear. Knowing how to protect yourself with a self-defense training will help immensely. Today, I want to bring meaning to your travel. So thanks for sharing this edition with your girlfriends. And if you want to know more, please look for me on the web, social media, and audio. I want to help women travelers like you. Send me your travel questions and let me know what's on your bucket list.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travelbest, that is.